Okay, I think you're able to see my screen, right, Susma? So can you confirm, Susma? Hello? Not able to hear me? Yes. So almost half an hour. Okay, let it be. Anyhow, already have some existing videos is there. Sorry. Hibernate core, Maven, dependency, Hibernate, Maven, core, 5.6 points. There is some vulnerabilities is there, guys. We need to be careful. So take off some from this. Just we need to copy of this one. Okay, so already I have copied the same one. So but I have used a 5.6.0 version I am using. Okay, and along with that, to which database you are trying to connect, this is one dependency. So to which database you are trying to connect, even that also we need to add the dependency, but that is not a from Maven repository. That is coming from my system. See, com.oracle OJDBC, and version is Java 8. See here, from where it is scope, from system it is loading, and system path. So in this location, that jar file is available. While loading of that, it will load from this path. From this is the jar file. From this it will load it. Okay. Now, after adding of these dependencies, write off some class. After adding these dependencies, now we can write the class. Let's add these two dependencies to our class. Hibernate first application, go here, add of these two dependencies. Now save it, and it is downloading from that. See here, yeah, it is done. Oh, someone is in the lobby. Yeah. Now after this, next is creating of Pojo classes. We are added our dependencies into our project, right? Now we have added what is the required. I'm working on Hibernate. That Hibernate core jar files is required. So that I'm getting by using of this dependency. And I need to get up some or Oracle driver class, all those things, right? That I will get from this jar file. Okay. Now next, create of com.ibc. Let's create classes as Pozo, right? Let's create here as a Pozo. Okay. Now create the class is employee. Okay. Just click on finish. Now write our classes inside here. Whatever the properties that we have, write all the properties. Like let's say private int id. Okay. It's our class properties, not database. Like private string name. Okay. Private salary designation, right? String designation and private float salary. Okay, just I created of some four properties. Okay, now let's generate the setters and getters for this. Select all and finish it. Okay, now our Pojo class is ready, right? Now write off our HBM file now. Okay, I said I have given a syntax for write. So by using this, we will write off HBM file. Okay, now let's get that and then I'll explain that. If anywhere is, we need to write those files inside. We need to write those files inside src main resources. Now or else add of these resources. These two required for us anyhow. Go to our class. I refresh it. Resources is not there. So what we can do? SRC main resources, we need to create a folder. We need to create a folder if it is not there, guys. See, SRC main Java and resources there inside main. Inside we need to create one folder. Okay, here under main folder create resources. So resources means all XML files will keep inside that, guys. Resources, click RESOURCES. Okay, resources. We need to write off all our XML files inside resources folder, guys, not in our Java folder. Okay, now let's com IBC. The package is same anyhow. Com IBC Pozo. Open up that XML. Open this XML I have opened. So this is of a DTD, guys. Okay, documentation for that. Okay, leave it about that. It is a generated one. Now next one is Hibernate mapping. This is the main tag that I have explained. Okay, as part of syntax also it is a main tag first. The next is class. Next is class. So com.ibc.pozo.employee class. This is my Pozo class. I want to store this Pozo class into database. Now what is the table name? What is the table name is emp hi is there. Let me change it to emp h John. Okay, just assume for identification of that mph underscore John means John batch or fifth batch. Now this table is not there in the database. Let's search it. Do you have this table in the database? Select star from. Do you have this table? It will give of error. Table or view does not exist. That means table is not there in the database. Okay. Now next. So out of in the Pozo class, out of this Pozo class, the ID is there, right? The first property. ID employee ID is the unique, right? We should not give same employee ID for multiple peoples, right? So while inserting of that, so ID should must be unique one. That is the reason I'm making ID as a primary key. So for the primary key columns, we need to use as a ID property. For the primary key columns, we need to use as ID property. And what is the type of it? It is a int type, right? So what is the column that will be mapping to the database column? So this table, this Java class is mapping with this table in the database. Okay, this property in the Pozo class is mapping with employee ID in the employee h underscore John table. Okay, it will create one column with this name. For what? For ID property, whatever the value that is there in the ID, that will store inside this column, employee ID column. What is the precision is 5 and scale is 0. Means that it is a number type and is of 5 numbers is maximum. That's what this one. And what is the type? How you want to assign this value? I'm giving as assigned. For time being, let's say we are assigning that value. Okay. Now later it will generate automatically also, guys. No worries. We'll see that. For time being, the primary key is it is assigning. Next. Next property, apart from the primary key, the rest of the columns will as a property tags, not a ID tag. Only for the primary key columns, we need to use as ID property. ID property. For the rest of the things, we need to use a property tag. Okay. So name and it is a type string. In the database column name is see column name equal to employee name. I want to store whatever the name that I am giving in the employee class property. that will be stored in the employee name column in the database. And the length is also 20, and it is a not nullable, not null, true. Okay, like that we can give off all the things, salary, float, salary in the database column also salary. Okay, if you want to change it to e-shall. Okay, anything that we can give. SCAL. If you want to give SCAL also fine. Okay, salary or anything. Designation. Designation in the property or employee class is, it is of designation, right? Now in the table, it is in the XML table, XML validation. Say I'm giving as table. This is our property, and this is a table name. Still now it is not there. It will create it, the table. Okay. See, all are not nullable. Okay. Now this is of mapping file. Now, whenever you are saving of employee object, automatically the data will be stored into employee table, employee underscore John table. It will create, and that configuration again in a different file. Where means HBM file, the sorry, Hibernate configuration file. This is also main file, that to get off all the connection properties and loading of the mapping files, all those things we need to configure in this file. By default, our application will load Hibernate configuration file. By default, whenever you are running our application, default it will searching for, it will search for hibernate.cfg.xml file. By default, that is the name. Okay, our application will search for this file name. Okay, inside this file name, go here. So what all things that we have given inside this file means, let's see one by one. Have given of property is first a driver class. So instead of in our JDBC we are using class.forName, right? That class I am adding here. It is a property hibernate.connection.driver class. These are the properties, guys, fixed properties. Okay, no change. This is a driver class. This is the oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver. If it is a Sybase means it is a different driver. If it is a DB2, different driver. Okay. Now URL for JDB, for Oracle, JDBC colon Oracle colon thin at localhost 1521 ORCL. This is my URL which I am using in case of JDBC also. That URL I am giving here. Next, username and password. Okay. Along with this, I said dialect. Without this dialect, the Hibernate will not create the tables. Hibernate won't create the tables. If the table is not there in the database, it will create automatically when hbm to ddl.auto, hbm to ddl.auto. If it is create means every time it will create it. If you are keeping as update means first it will check in the database. If it is there, it won't create it. If it is not there, it will create it. Let's say if you are adding as create means always it will create. If it is already there in the database also, it will delete and it will recreate it. That is a problem, right? We should not do, else all data will loss, right? So that is the reason I'm keeping as update. If it is there in the database, don't create it, use existing one. If it is not there, create it. That's what the meaning of hbm to ddl.auto. Okay. Next, whatever that is created, I want to see that whatever the database is, Hibernate is creating the tables, the queries is there, right? SQL query, it is compulsory required to create the any table or for inserting data, right? I want to see that query, what Hibernate is using. To show that, you need to use of show underscore SQL equal to true. Okay. Next, format underscore SQL means show me that whatever the query that is generated by Hibernate in the some format. Okay, in some proper format. For that, I am using as format underscore SQL. It will show in the format. The next one. Okay, the next one is I'm commenting this one. Next one is delete for time being that. Okay, now next is hbm to hbm file, employee hbm file is there, right? To the mapping, that also it should load, right? Who will load? Hibernate configuration file will load it, but we need to add that Hibernate hbm file inside Hibernate configuration file. So that is the reason wherever that hbm file is available, it is available where in the resources come. By default it will search for that xml files in the resource folder, guys. Okay. Now com dot ibc dot pozo and employee dot hbm. Okay. Now after this is of Hibernate configuration file, guys. Okay. Now go to our main class to create the table and for loading of getting the connection and creating employee object and then storing. Okay. Now let's go to Java com Hibernate first application. Let's remove this. That is not required. Refresh it. If you are understanding the first one, guys, the rest of the Hibernate configuration is same. Okay. No need to explain. Just within I'll explain. I will just roughly explain it. Okay. For the rest of the applications, it is common. Now next, ibc.com.ibc. Just write off on class employee MPLO employee creation, right? Employee creating. Now it is our file. Now inside this, I created inside Pozo. Okay, let it be nowhere, no problem. So first step, okay. Here there are some common steps also available, guys. No worries. So first step is first we need to create a configuration object. Okay, there is a configuration. Okay, see org.hibernate.cfg to load of that Hibernate configuration file. So we have created hibernate.cfg.xml file, right? To load of that Hibernate configuration file, we need to create object of this class. Okay, cfg equal to new configuration. New configuration dot configure. Okay, directly I'm calling the method. Okay, now it will load. It will load that our Hibernate. By default, it will search for a hibernate.cfg.xml file, guys. If we are modifying that, then we need to give the file name. Okay. Now let us keep it for time being that only. After configuration is loaded, this is for loading of this configuration. What exactly it will do? It will load. It will take the URL, username, password, dialect, and all those things. It will check it. All those things it will check it. And next, what we'll do? We need to create a session factory. We need to what in this step it will do? It will load all the configuration files, everything in the memory. Okay. Next. Next CFG. What is the CFG? It is a configuration object. CFG dot build session factory. What build session factory will do means it will create a bulk of sessions. It will create a some pool of sessions. Pool of database connections, guys. Sessions means okay. Build session factory. Yes, session factory. Okay. It will create a group of our bulk of sessions. From these sessions, we need to get one session. Okay, session factory dot open session means it will give one connection. Okay, it will give one connection that will store in the session. Okay, okay, store in a session. From this session, if you want to do any operations, then we need to do that. This is the count. First is for any Hibernate application, we need to load the configuration file, and then we need to create a session factory. From the session factory, we need to get one connection. From the session, we can start our transactions. Session dot session dot begin transaction. I want to start one transaction to store off for creating the table, for inserting the data. For that, I want to start one transaction. Okay. Next, create of employee pozo class object. We created of employee pozo class, right? Let's take this class and then set some values to that. That dot set. Sorry, first create object emp new employee. Okay. Next, emp dot set id. Give some value double one, triple one I have given. Okay. emp dot set name, give of some Ashok, some value. Ashok. Okay. So employee name. Next, emp dot set designation. The designation we can give of lead developer. Just assume lead. Next, we need to give of some salary. Emp dot set salary. Okay. Give of some salary is some 10,000 will give. Some of some 10,000 will give some 10,000. Now, our data is ready. Where I get the data? In some Pozo class, right? So I want to save this object directly. I don't want to create query. I don't want to create table. Both I don't want to do. But I want to save this object in the database. Okay? All that will magic will be happen internally with these two files. Okay? Now let's from this session. From this session, there is a method called session dot save of object. Save of object. Now, sorry, emp. So what I'm thinking, let's save. Yeah, it is storing of object. Session dot save of object. So this line will save this employee object into database table. This employee object into database table. We don't need to do anything. Okay. Now session dot we can get transaction dot commit it. Whatever that is saved, just commit into the database. Session dot get transaction already started, right? Begin transaction dot commit. Now let's add up some comments. Not out that println employee inserted. Okay. Here system.out.println main class started. Okay. Now that's what guys. No need to do anything. Now let's start off run this application. Now let's see what is the magic that will happen internally. Main class is started. It is loading. Still it is running, guys. See, it is in red mode. Okay. It is not completed. JDB is trying for JDBC connection access. Okay. Connection obtained from JDBC connection access. Okay. Yeah. See. Now, so what it is doing? It is first it is verified. Hibernate verified in the database. Yes, do we have Hibernate H underscore John table in the database? It is not there. Okay. If it is not there, what it is doing? It is creating a table. It is creating table. Okay. With what are the properties? Employee ID. Where I have given these things? I have given these things in the HBM file. See, employee ID, right? Employee ID, and next employee name, and next shall. Okay. Next is instead of salary, I given it as a shall. Okay. Next is designation. Designation is DESC. Okay. Next is primary key is employee ID. If you are keeping ID as a property, if you are keeping ID as a property, then it is a primary key column. That is primary key is employee ID. That's what the first thing. Next, come down. So it is trying to insert once it is created. I said I want to see the queries which is generated by HBM Hibernate. Okay. Now see this one. Insert into emp underscore John table, employee name, salary, designation, employee ID. All are setting that. All are values it is setting. Now employee is inserted at the last. Now let's go to the database. Let's go to database. Now let's verify it. See, employee ID 111, employee name Ashok, salary equal 10,000, designation is lead. It is inserted. Right or not? Without creating table, without writing any query, automatically Hibernate is creating table and then inserting data. Is it clear, guys, till now? So rest of most of the things will be like this only. Okay, but the topics will different. Is it clear, guys? This one. If anything is not clear in this one, I'll explain it. Okay. Now, good. Now go to the document. This is done. Yeah, I have given some explanation also for the HBM file, guys. Class element is used to specify the mapping between the bin and table. Okay. Next, this can have n number of single HBM file. Single Hibernate file can have n number of. So like this contains only right now only one class. This class is representing employee class with employee table. Okay. If you want to write off another class with another table, you can write off another one more. You can write off n number of class elements inside a single Hibernate mapping file. Okay, that's what the meaning of that second point. It contains of name and table. First one is name and table, the name of the class and table. Okay, next is id. Id element of class is used to specify the mapping column for primary key column. It is a primary key column, that is whatever that we are writing inside id, that is a primary key column. Okay, next all are properties. Now other than primary key, whatever that is there, we'll write everything inside properties. See, all rest of them are properties. Only for primary key it is id. Okay, the property contains of subchild sub attributes. One is name of the name of the poso class, and type is type of that, and the column name in the table. See, what is that? Name of the property, type of our property, and column contains name of the column, its length we can add of any other things. Okay, not null. If anything is there also, see, we can. Next. Next is Hibernate configuration file. See, create Hibernate configuration is hibernate.cfg.xml file. So this file contains database details like driver class, URL, username, password, and extra connection pooling configurations, entries of HBM files. All those must be. And one more thing, guys. Inside configuration file, if you are not adding this one, then it will not create the table, and then it will not do that. Okay, compulsory this is required, and to create automatically that, without this one it won't create again. Okay, without this line it won't create it. If you want, you people can try it. This is what the first example that I have explained of connection URL, driver class, username, password, auto, all these properties that I have explained. So these are the most commonly used properties, guys. Okay, if any new thing is coming, I'll explain it. Okay, these are some examples that I have created. You people can try that. Okay, next is object states. Is object states. Okay, now before that, okay, before in this case, now whenever you are creating of there are three states of objects. Okay, our employee class object is there, right? So there are three states the object will be available. What are all those states? Okay, let's say you are just simply created an object of poso class. Simply created of object of poso class. What is that? This is the line, right? Creating of object of the poso class. Now in this case, the object, which object? Employee object is in transient state. Okay, in this case, the object will be in transient state. We'll call it as a transient. If you want, you can read it. If the object is newly created by using a new operator, then the state of the object is called transient. Okay, that's what this point. Next, and until that, data is setting, guys. Okay, control Z. This is of creating object that is in transient state. Now persistent state, when the object will be in persistent state means whenever you are calling of save method, then in that case it will be in the persistent state. Then it will be in a persistent state. It is saving mode. Okay, if you want, you can read it. Now, okay, yeah, there are two ways in which the object can have the state. Okay, save the transient object into database by using of save method. In this case, the object is in a persistent state, or by using save or update, by using a merge, by using for using of any of the thing, then the object is in persistent state. Okay, and apart from this, this is for saving. If you are loading that any object from the database, that time also it will be in the persistent state. When you load an object from the db using of either load or criteria dot list method, if you are using, then in this state, in this case also, the object will be in persistent state. Okay, now we'll see that on example also, load all those things. Okay, next, detached state. Okay, whenever you are removing an object from the session, okay, or if you are removing, if you are closing, once it is saved, then nothing, it is persistent. Okay, now whenever you are removing a detached from the hibernate session means session dot evict, session dot evict, there is a method is there. If you are adding up emp, then object will be removed from the session. Okay, then in that case object will be in the detached state. Object will be in a an object can be detached by using a evict method, or clear or close methods will detach all the objects available in the persistent. So if you are using evict means, then particular object will be evicted. If you are session dot close or session dot clear means all the objects under that session will be removed. All the objects under that session will be removed. Okay, now next, go to, yeah, this is the object state, guys. This is very important question. What are the object state, object state of the objects in hibernate? Transient, persistent, and detached. Okay, now we'll see one example with by removing of HBM file. Till now what we did, we have configured of XML configuration file, right, for mapping our class with table. Now I don't want to write off, I don't want to write this HBM file. I want to write annotation based. With through Java class only, I want to give mapping. Without writing any HBM files, I want to configure everything inside in the Pojo class itself. In this entity class itself, I want to configure that. Now let's take off one example for that also. We'll see. Let's take off one account. Let's take this one, some account, right? If anywhere account class, let me take the account class, guys. I'll explain it, guys. No worries. Application. Go here. Add it. Sorry, not copied. What happened? It's nonsense. Let me create the class. Okay. Create of instead of writing, just copy. Save it. Class account. Okay. Created of one class, account class, like employee. Just assume it is like employee class. Okay. Now Hibernate said Hibernate is given some provision, some annotations, right? Hibernate has given some annotations also, I told you, right? Now we will use those annotations. Now we will use those annotations to configure that mapping file. Okay, without so to create to store this account object compulsory we need to create a hvm file. Instead of hvm file, I am storing whatever that they are doing in the hvm file. I am using annotations. I am doing all the configuration in the java file itself. Okay, now the first one is let's see what are the properties it contains. It contains of account id, okay, account name, and address, and balance. Okay, now let's see each one. So first, on top of this is a poso class, guys. On top of poso class, given as at entity. At entity means it is a table. Okay, this class is going to become a table. Okay, now if you are not give, if you want to give any table name specifically, we need to give as at table. We need to give as at table. What is the name of the table? It is a child attribute. If you are not giving this one, then the name of the table is account. Okay, if you're not giving, only if you're annotated with that entity, and if you're not giving any table and add table annotation and any table name, then by default it take as a class name as a table name. Okay, if you want to change that account table, then we need to give the table name specifically if you want to change the name of the table. Okay, next is I said in the configuration file id is there, right? This is a primary key in the account table. In the account class, what I am doing, yeah, in the account class, what I am doing, so at id, that is equal to, like this we are given, right? So this is equal to that at id, it is annotation. Okay, now how you want to pass the value for this one? How you want to set this value for account id, account number? Okay, now what I'm doing, I don't want to give any number, so automatically Hibernate should create a primary key for this one, account id. So for that, there is an annotation called at generated value. For this field, the value is generated at generated value is of generation type dot auto. Generation type dot auto. If you want to give identity, if you want to give sequence, if any particular sequence is there, you can give sequence also. Okay, that's what this one. So auto means automatically it will create one sequence. From that sequence, it will get that value and then it will insert into this id. Okay, now next all properties are properties, right? So inside that we are using of columns. Okay, at column. So in this case also, for all the properties we need to use at column. Okay, name of the database column, and what is the length of it, and whether it is nullable or not, unique, true. All these things we can give it. Okay, see, there are many properties that we can add. Okay, now this is account name. So address column is this is the property of the account class. This is the name of the column in the table. This is the property of and this is the name of the column in the database. Okay, at the column, whatever the annotation that is, guys, those are column names in the database table. Okay, which database table? The table is account. If you are not giving this one, then it is a name of the class itself is account table. Name of the class it will take create as a table name. Okay, apart from that, setters and getters is common. Only the new thing is at the entity. At entity means it is a more entity class or database model class. Next to table name, if you want to give any table name, we need to give table name. Okay, next all primary key we will use of at id. For generating we will use generated value, and rest of things we will use as at column annotations. Now let's create one class for creating of this one. Okay, let's create this is employee I'll create of one more employee class triple two and Prasad and manager, just assume, give off some 20,000. Okay, now after saving that employee, let's create of account, right? Let's create of account also. Okay, let's create account, come that pose account ACC equal to new account, new account. Okay. Now set the values for this one. ACC dot set account ID. I will not do that. Account name is account holder name, like let's say Pooja. Okay. Next ACCT dot set address Bangalore. Okay. Next ACC dot set what is that set balance account. Balance is just assume of that some 5,000. The float, right? Let's remove it. Now session dot save of session dot save of employee ACC. That's it. Okay. Now in this case, let's see whether do we have employee table in the database or not. If it is there, if it is there, let's see that. ACCT. See, already in the database we have employee table is there, right? With some data, with some data also, guys, here. Okay. Now it won't create the any table. It won't, in this case, it won't create any new table. Just simply it will add the record. Now let's try that. I'm thinking one property got missed, guys. I'm thinking need to add of account here. Yes, yeah. Sorry, guys. Here we need to add one thing. Mapping is class is there, right? We need to, otherwise it won't create it. Okay. Mapping class equal to, we need to give off com dot ibc dot ozo dot account. We need to give this one. Otherwise it won't. Otherwise it will not create it. Okay. Yes. Let me save it. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. Then we need to inform to the Hibernate configuration file. Yes, this is the new entity that I am adding. Okay. That mapping it will done by in the configuration file only, guys. Let's see. I think that system password connection obtained from JDBC connection access and DDL auto commit mode. Still it is running only, guys. It will take some time, guys. No worry. Just maybe 5-10 seconds. Let's wait. But it will finish it. Why it is taking this much time? Yeah, now it is finished. See that? So first what is doing for employee? First its sequence is required. For what? For inserting, I given generation type dot auto for the account, right? For that purpose, it is going to use of some sequence, Hibernate sequence. It Hibernate will create the sequence for getting of the primary key values. Okay, if you are selecting this one, go to here. It will give some ID. Okay, some number it will give. See 102. Next time if you are running 103, it will give. Next time if you are running 104, it will give. Like that, it will give some numbers sequentially. Okay. Now that is for giving some number. Okay. After that, we are inserting our employee table. Okay. Next, it is inserting account table. So already account table is there in the database. So that is the reason only it is doing of insert query. Only it is doing insert query. Right or not? Before you have seen employee table was there not there. Employee H underscore John table was not there. It is created before first it is created and then it is inserted. In this case, it is verified that Hibernate is verified that account table is already there in the database. So don't do delete it. So insert whatever the record that we are inserting. Now let's go to database. Account table. We'll see before we have two records, right? See now we have third record 101 Pooja Bangalore 5000 is inserted. Now check in the employee table also, right? Whether the one more record is inserted or not. EMP EMPH underscore John, right? John. Now let's run this table. See, second Prasad is created, right or not? Guys, second one we have created as Prasad. And this is also saved and account is also saved. Okay, this is with XML approach. This is with annotation. Is it clear, guys? First, before moving to another, guys, able to hear me, right? Okay. So if it is clear, then we'll move to another topic. Let's go to document. This is of annotation based that the account class. Okay. Next Hibernate configuration file for that. Next for executing of that. Okay. For executing of so but existing class itself I have taken add of account one more. Okay. Now this is a pom.xml file. In the pom.xml file, without these things, dependencies won't work, guys. The first things we need to do is dependencies configuration in the pom.xml file. So whichever the Hibernate means Hibernate we need to configure. If it is a Spring means Spring configuration we need to dependency we need to configure it. Okay. And based on the database whichever you are using, we need to configure their database configurations also the UI jar files. Okay. Now is HQL. Now is HQL. So I said like what is HQL? So HQL means Hibernate query language. It is a database independent query language. In between, if you are modifying the database also, we need to modify any queries of HQL. The HQL queries of database independent. Now let's see. Hibernate query language. Hibernate query language is same as like SQL, structured query language. Both are same, but it does not depends on tables. Okay, SQL does not depend on database tables. It is depending on the table instead of table name. Our class name is there, right? Pozo class name. It is depending on the Pozo class name. Okay, now but does not depend on database table of database. Instead of table name we use class name in the HQL. Okay, we use class name. So it is a database independent query language. Okay, normally if it is a table means compulsory if any modification is there in the table, compulsory we need to do that. Recompilation, redo, everything we need to do that. But we are using of class name. Okay. Now what are the advantages of HQL? We will see some examples also, guys. No worries. Okay. Now HQL is database independent. Okay, means if you write any program using HQL commands, okay, If you're writing any program using HQL command, then our program will be able to execute in all the databases. It can be, we can execute this HQL with any database without doing any changes. Okay, HQL support inner, left outer join, right outer join, full outer join. All the joins it will support HQL. Okay, next. Hibernate supports commonly used aggregates functions like count, min, max, distinct, all those things it will support it. Okay. Now Hibernate support arithmetic operations also like plus, minus, multiply, all those things also it will support, along with binary comparison, equal to, greater than, equal, less than or equal, not equal to. So and logical operations and or not. All these things will be supported by HQL. Okay. Now let's tables to create in DB for HQL to test our primary key and foreign key relations. Let's see what is this. I have created of employee underscore HQL and address table. What is there? Let's say one employee contains one or more addresses. Just assume that one or more addresses. Now let's create of this one. You people can try it. Copy this. The table is already there. We'll modify the table, guys. Now employee underscore HQL underscore John. Okay, let's create the table employee underscore HQL underscore John is created. Next, address table also. Okay, address table underscore John. Okay, so in this table, what I'm doing, constraint foreign key equal to employee ID, guys. Constraint foreign key I'm getting from employee table. Okay, and reference to employee underscore HQL underscore John. Okay, so for employee ID, in employee table it is a primary key. Okay, in the address table it is a foreign key. Okay, let's do that. Name already, what name? Okay, for John. Yeah, now table address underscore John is created. Okay, now let's go to here and insert of some data. Insert of some data. Just I'm copy pasting. Just you need to modify, guys. Okay, maybe in your case it does not have, right, so no worries. Directly you can execute it. Underscore John, paste it, modify, modify, underscore John, wait, modify it. I'm inserting of control Z some data for employee table, and let's take it. Employee table I have inserted 1 Ashok Panda, 100, 2 Jaya, 3 Naveen, 4 Mahesh. Okay, now let's see what are their addresses. Employee ID 1. Okay, employee ID here, here it is a foreign key here. Employee ID 1, his address is Patni Center, Pune. This is the pin zip code. Like for 2 employee ID 2 Jaya, so it is of KBHP Hyderabad. This one. Third one is BTM first stage for third employee. Fourth employee is city center, like that. I have given some address details. Okay. Now let's go. Address John also. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, only for employee details is entered and created. Now insert of address details as well. Now commit it. Now let's go and check. Select star from address table and select star from. 'From' these two tables. Let's run it. 'Select star from 'these two tables. Let's run it. 'Select star from 'these two tables. Let's run it. 'Select star from 'these two tables. Let's run it. 'Select star from 'these two tables. Let's run it. 'Select star from 'these two tables. Let's run it. See, 4 records is there in this table also. Let's say 4 records is there. Now go and check what is happened. Now we will write off. So maybe for HQL queries, we will do that. Okay. Employee underscore HQL. There is some project. Let's open up that project. With this project, let's see HQL project 2. Okay. HQL project 2. I will give that project also, guys. No worry. HQL project 2. Let's close all of them. Close all of these. HQL project 2. Yeah, now inside this, let's check off what this criteria. SQL project model class. Yeah, employee class. Yeah, employee underscore HQL. Okay, in our case, what we have done, underscore John, underscore John. We have modified the table, right? Just change the employee class to employee underscore HQL underscore John. Now next, these are all columns, guys. Already have explained about this primary column. Generated is identity means we need to give that value. Identity means we need to provide the value. Already we have given, right? No need. So now next already primary columns, all the other columns, all are this for normal things. Okay. Now, one extra thing is what we are doing. The employee class is depending on address class. Correct or not? Employee class is depending on address class. So that is the reason I have used one annotation called one to one. Every employee is having one address. Address is in different class, different table, right? So that mapping I am giving here at to one mapped by employee. So again cascade here, cascading of all whatever that insertion, deletion, all those things, it will impact in child table as well. That cascade means. So to which one it is depending? Address. Which one? It is depending in the, go to address. Here, see, there is a property employee. So at primary key join column, there is a column to map the primary key column with employee table with address table. Okay, that we'll see now. I'll show you. Yeah, everything is annotation based, guys. Now next address. These are both are entities. We need to configure our details. We need to configure of our details in this class. So don't worry about these things. These are named queries that I'll explain later. For time being, you can ignore this one. For time being, you can ignore these things. Okay? For time being, you can ignore that. So now our address class employee ID is depending on employee class primary key column, right? For that, I'm giving as this strategy. Okay, for mapping. Next, go to HQL. Now go here. Let's enable of one by one. Good. Let's no need of these things that I'll explain slowly. What is this purpose? Up. So in the first thing what I'm doing, this is the common steps, guys. This is of common steps. So Hibernate it will that get session factory that open session directly in single line I'm doing, and it is giving of session factory. Before we are doing in three lines. Before if you are go here, it is of the way of creating that Hibernate session factory, guys. Okay, new configuration, configure that build session factory. In a single line I am doing, this is going to return of session factory. On top of session factory, directly I am calling of open session. Okay, it is going to return of session. Started of transaction. This is a common code. Next is session data create query. Session data, create query. Not what is this? This is of HQL query. For HQL query is like how exactly it is going to be is like instead of normally to get of any data from SQL query is select star from employee. Correct or not? Select star from employee table, whatever that employee underscore HQL underscore John. But in this case, what I am doing from no select from this is the Pojo class name. This is a Pojo class name. Okay, it will give off a query dot list. It will give all the employees. So internally it is pointing to this table. Okay, that is the reason HQL queries are not depending on the table names. It is on Pojo class names. Okay, from this Pojo class name. Now let's see. So inside this, what it will give? Employee list it will give, right? From each employee, get address as well as employee both. Let's run it. I have given that queries also, guys. HQL queries maybe in the project itself. Let's see. Meanwhile, yeah, see here, I have given queries also, all those things, whatever that is required for you guys. Just you can run it. And before going to that, please go and verify any SQL files I have given in the project. Okay. It's taking time. No worries. For getting all employees using HQL, guys. Okay. Now, meanwhile, let me explain. So between HQL, normally for SQL means structured query language, like select star from EMP employee employee underscore HQL underscore John. It is our table name in the database. This is of SQL query. Okay, SQL query. HQL query is no select, no star, only from instead of table name. This is the table name. Instead of table name, now I'm giving as a Pojo class name. Pojo class name means this is of this is the Pojo class name, guys. This is the name. You know to give this one. So this both are this is a HQL query. This is of SQL query. So now I'm using HQL query to get the data. Okay. Now let's go and see. See all the data. What has happened? See, it is a generated query also you can verify it. See, it is of employee HQL query and this is of HQL query for address table. Okay. Now there is a one more table. This is of for selecting of address table, employee IDs for each one. These are queries for each time it is giving one query, guys. Okay. Now see, list of employees is employee ID 1 and his details. And his address details. List employee ID 2 and his address details. Employee ID 3 and his address details. 4 and his address details. If you want, you can map in the database table also. See, for employee ID 1, Patni Center, Pune and 56. Now let's see. Employee ID 1, Patni Center, 560038 and Pune. Okay. For employee ID 2, KBHP and Hyderabad, the 560210. Okay. See, it is giving of mapping also both. By using HQL query also, we can get the data. This is the proof. Okay. Now next. Now next is Now, what is the next one is for getting of get employee ID with specific employee ID. I want to get it. So, okay, this is for getting all the employees. Now, I want to get off only single employee ID. Then, in that case, from employee where this is of our property employee id property is id not employee id guys, this is the column name, this is the property id of employee class. Now we need to use where id equal to, for this id we need to pass, okay, query dot set long. What is the type of this id? It is of long, so that is the reason set long method is there, we need to use that. Let's go to our program. So this is for getting all. Now for getting of specific employee ID, okay? For getting of specific employee ID, let's enable this. Now this is a common session that create query. Which query? HQL query from employee where employee ID equal to ID equal to this colon ID. That means that we need to pass values for that. By taking this ID parameter, we need to pass value for that. Right, it will give of query dot set long. How why it is long? The ID is of type in the POSO class is of type long. So that is the reason query dot set long, and this is of we need to give this as this one. Okay, if I'm changing here as a id value, then we need to give here as a id value. Okay, for that whatever the value that we want to pass, second parameter as a value. Okay, after that execute of this query unique queue result. Before we are getting of list, it is giving of all. Now I want only single unique queue result associated to this id only. That is the reason query dot unique queue result. Okay, it will give that particular employee details. Okay, now let's run it. Now next, if you want to update any data, if you want to update of any data inside that, so like SQL query, what we will do? We will do of like update. What will do? Employee set emp. I don't know what is the column name that we will use. Okay, emp underscore name. It is a table column. Emp underscore name equal to, we need to give that new name. Okay, where id emp underscore id, and that value we need to pass it, right? But in case of hql, see that it is also same as like, but the table name is modifying. It is not a table name, it is a poso class name. Okay, now let's see whether it is retrieved or not yet. Let's wait. Yeah, now see the employee ID 3 name equal to Naveen and city is Bangalore. Now let's go and see employee ID name 3 is see employee ID 3 name, employee ID 3 name equal to Naveen. Okay, and his address is Bangalore and BGM first stage Bangalore. Okay, so I am displaying only, I'm displaying only address city, employee name, and only employee address city only I am displaying, not all. Okay, now let's update of something. Let's update something. Now let's if you want to update, this is the one. Uh, Update query is there is no only instead of table name only POSO class name guys. It is almost same. Okay, and property POSO class name and property name, their table name and column names. Okay, so for the column, which one you want to use? I'm using as name equal to Ashok. For the first parameter I'm updating for the employee ID 1. For the employee ID 1, what is the Ashok Panda? Instead of Ashok Panda, I'm changing to Ashok. Okay, now directly after that query dot execute update. Execute, we are doing of modification, right? Not getting. We are doing more. So that is the reason execute update. Okay. Now let's run it. Now the next one is, let's say if I want to delete of one, if I want to delete one employee data also, employee ID details. Let's say both compulsory, if I want to delete of one employee ID, compulsory address also should delete. Associated data also. Okay. So for that, you can see of this one. First, what we need to do? To delete a first, if a first parent record means it won't allow to delete. First, we need to delete a child record and then we'll go for a parent record, guys. Okay. Let's say already if you are trying to delete of employee record 4, let's say 4 or 3, then with this primary key, one record is available in the address table. First, what we need to do in the address table, we need to delete and then we'll need to come to parent table. Okay. So that is the reason first I'm deleting from address table, okay, the record 4, and then I'm coming to delete from employee table where id equal to 4. Okay. Now let's say it is executed, updated. Now let's see that. Now let's see, instead of Ashok Panda, it should come as Ashok. It is updated. Okay. Now same way for deletion. Now let's see for delete. Okay. So it is a parent child relationship, guys. If you want to delete of any parent record, if any child record is associated with that parent, then compulsory we should delete first child and then we should go for parent. Okay. Now let's see, this is of first child record and parent record. This is one thing. And next is what I am doing here. Let's delete this. Let's run this deletion part first. If I'm trying to delete the first query, this one, then it will not accept, guys. If you're writing this code as first, then it won't allow that. It will throw error because this employee record 4 is associated with address. That is the reason first I'm deleting address and then coming to employee. Okay. Next, come down. Now aggregate functions. If you want to get off, we can do of aggregate functions also on top of this one, guys. Okay. Now select sum of salary, all the employee salary if you want to do using HQL. Okay. Select sum of all salary from employee. It is a POSO class, guys. No table name, will not use any table name in the HQL. All will be a POSO class name only. Okay. Now let's this one. Next is, if you want to get the specific fields using of some join queries, guys, join example. Okay. So select employee name comma city, employee name from address and city from address table. Right. Yeah. What was happened? Integrity constraint violation. See, that's what I told you. Child record found. Child record found. It is throwing some error. Okay. Now let's first we need to delete employee and then we need to use of first we need to execute of that and then we'll go for this. Let's see whether it is deleted in the address table. 4, it is not deleted. First delete of employee table, guys. After that only we need to go to parent table. So both are at a time not work. So that is the reason I'm taking one by one. Yeah, last one is join, right? So in the join, what we are doing, let's say from the two tables, from two tables, I want to get the data. Okay, from address table, from address table, what city, and from the employee table, I'm expecting of name. From this table name, from this table, I'm expecting of city. So then in that case, we need to use of join column. We need to use of join, right? So for that, what we can do? Select E dot from E means it is a E. Yeah, it is a POJO class. I'm alias name I have given. Okay. Inner join E dot address. For address I'm giving as A. For address in the E dot address it will give a address object. That I am giving as A. Okay. E dot address means if you want you can go to address table. Sorry, employee table. Inside this we have a address. Okay, this will give off address class object. For that I am giving as alias name as A. That's what here. Okay, now let's wait. It is taking long time, guys. Yes, address deletion is done. You can verify that. See, it is done. Okay, what happened? Address John. There is something. Delete from address table. Go to address. Did I modify that? Sorry, guys. I need to use of underscore John. Right? In case of address, did I modified? Yes, in case of address, I modified. Okay. So it in address POJO class underscore John is not done. Okay. Now let's run it. $10, guys. We'll finish the end of the class today. So after these two functions, we'll see. Now the next one is I'll run both. Okay, in one shot. Let's wait. So I have given everything in the document, guys. You can go through that. Okay. I have given everything here. So whichever you want, you can enable and then you can practice it. It's taking this much time, yeah. Yeah. Now let's go and verify that. Employee table, only 3 records and address table. Employee table deleted means obviously address table also will delete. It is of dependent record, right? So that is fine. Now we will do of enabling of come down. We'll get off some aggregate functions. We'll test of one aggregate functions and join both will try now. This one is aggregate functions, enable it, control Z, sorry. Now join function, join example. Join example. So from both I'm getting, from each table I'm getting one column, from employee POJO class I'm getting name, from address I'm getting of city. Okay. It will give us query dot result in the form of object array, guys. We are, because we are getting of the data partially, right, it won't give all. So that is the reason we are getting object array. From object array we need to get that values. It is going to print that values. Okay. Now next, run it. Sum of salaries as well as address and city of all the employees. Now, what is the next concept after this project? This is of thing Hibernate util class, Hibernate configuration class, form.xml file. Next, what is this? Named queries. Next, we'll see of named queries tomorrow class, guys. Okay, no worry. Let's finish off this one first. So the named queries means we are giving some queries to some names. We'll use that names to execute those queries. Okay, named queries means so select star from employee. I'll give one name as okay, get all employees. So by using get employees name, I can get all the employees details. I'm giving one name to that query. Okay, see it is giving of Ashok and Pune, Jay and Hyderabad, Navir and Bangalore. So it is giving of both from Jain, it is one thing. Next is sum of all salaries is 600. Okay. Now let's go and see all is 600 or not. Let's 1, 200, 300. It is of all summary sum of all salaries is 600. Okay. This is what HQL, guys. Okay. We can get the data from by using select means select query and update and deletion and joins and aggregate functions, all we can use for HQL. Okay, this is what for today's, guys. Okay, now we'll see again in the tomorrow's class with the named queries. Okay, guys, fine. Okay, thanks, guys.